All I can say is that I'm sorry to all the mothers and children out there. If I could do anything to prevent this, I would. I threw a birthday party for my little daughter. She actually turned 2, and I just wanted all my family to come together and be together as it would be like an incident happened. As me getting ready to start my baby, to start cutting her cake and stuff, um, everybody's getting together around and just start cutting the cake, and all we heard was gunshots, and everybody just fell to the ground. It was just unexpected. I don't know what happened. I'm just so shocked and lost, and I'm lost of words. I'm speechless, and I just want to say I'm sorry to all the mothers out there that lost their kids at my birthday party. So it's my daughter's niece. Both his nieces passed away. My sister actually got shot. My cousin got shot. My son's friend got shot. My 3 of my friends got shot. My friend's baby dad got shot and got killed.
On Saturday, November 29th, 2025, what should have been a joyous celebration turned into unspeakable tragedy when gunfire erupted at a child's birthday party in Stockton, California. 4 lives were lost that evening, 3 children ages 8, 9, and 14, and a 21-year-old. 11 others were wounded when shooters opened fire on a gathering of up to 150 people at a banquet hall on Lucille Avenue. Tonight, we examine what happened that Saturday evening, the investigation that continues, the victims whose lives were stolen, and the disturbing allegations that this mass shooting may have been a targeted gang hit gone horrifically wrong, with local rappers allegedly the intended victims. It was just before 6 p.m. when Patrice Williams was hosting a birthday party for her 2-year-old daughter at the banquet hall in the 1900 block of Lucille Avenue. Families had gathered, children playing, adults socializing, a community coming together for what should have been safe and happy. They were getting ready to cut the birthday cake when terror descended. Everybody was getting ready to gather round, Williams recalled. All we heard was gunshots, and everybody just dove to the ground.
As me getting ready to start my baby, to start cutting her cake and stuff, everybody's getting together around and just start cutting the cake, and all we heard was gunshots, and everybody just fell to the ground. It was just unexpected.
Williams initially thought the sound was balloons popping, a noise that would have belonged at a child's birthday party. It wasn't.
I actually thought it was my balloons popping. It was gunshots.
According to investigators, the attack started inside the venue before moving outside. Witnesses described chaos and panic as people ran for cover, parents shielding their children, the sound of gunfire echoing through the hall and into the parking lot. Teresa Spivey, the great-grandmother of the birthday girl, pushed a table over to use as a shield, working desperately to get children to safety in a nearby room. One woman described a frantic phone call from her sister during the shooting, saying children hid behind a flipped-over table and under a bounce house. She said it sounded like it was never going to stop, the woman recalled. That's all she kept saying. She said, "Babies are everywhere. They're on the ground." When it finally stopped, 15 people had been shot. Williams's daughter, the birthday girl, was miraculously unharmed. But Williams's sister, a cousin, and 3 friends were among the wounded. Her daughter's father lost 2 nieces in the shooting. Among the wounded was a 9-year-old girl who was shot in the head but survived. Sheriff Patrick Withrow of San Joaquin County stated there were likely multiple shooters who perpetrated what appears to have been a targeted attack. Firearms were discovered on the roof of the banquet hall, though authorities have not confirmed whether these were the weapons used. The sheriff believes the shooting started inside and ended outside the hall. Sheriff Withrow's words captured the raw emotion and horror. He stated that animals had walked in and shot children at a children's birthday party, declaring that none of us should stand for that. Having driven more than 8 hours from Oregon, cutting short time with his own grandchildren, Withrow made clear his commitment. "I came to hunt down those responsible for taking somebody else's babies away from them." Stockton Mayor Christina Fugazi described the shooting as a pure act of terrorism, a complete, cowardly terrorist act resulting from what she characterized as group gang violence. "They should be writing their Christmas lists right now," Fugazi said on Sunday, her voice breaking. "Their parents should be out shopping for them for Christmas. And to think that their lives are over. I can't even begin to imagine what these families are going through."
I can't imagine a parent burying their child, what that must feel like, when they should be making their Christmas list, wrapping presents, looking forward to Christmas Eve, and they'll never have that opportunity.
This tragedy marked at least the 380th mass shooting in the United States in 2025 alone, and the 17th U.S. mass killing with at least 4 fatalities. But for the families at that party, this wasn't a statistic. This was their worst nightmare made real. As of Monday, authorities have not officially released the names of the victims, but families have come forward to identify their loved ones. 14-year-old Amari Peterson was simply being a kid at a kids' party when he was killed. His mother, Kimberly Pengnanavong, told the Stockton Record, "My baby was innocent. We were just at the wrong place at the wrong time. Who would have known my baby wasn't going to come home with me?" She described Amari as a talented sportsman who played basketball and football. His father, Patrick Peterson, said his son was a gentle soul who was shot above the heart. A GoFundMe page established by Amari's aunt described him as a bright, loved, and promising young soul whose life was taken far too soon by a senseless act of violence. 21-year-old Susano Archuleta was identified by his aunt, Patricia Flores, and brother Emmanuel Lopez. Lopez told the Los Angeles Times that Susano was shot in the neck and died at the scene. "My nephew was one of the ones who was shot," Flores said. "He was a good kid, and he went to the celebration for a friend of his." An 8-year-old child was identified by Mayor Fugazi as a 3rd-grade student in the Stockton Unified School District. The child's mother works for the district. The mayor said counselors would be available at city schools this week. The identity of the 9-year-old victim has not been publicly released. The 11 wounded range in age from 8 to around 30 years old. At least one remains in critical condition. As night fell Saturday, law enforcement from multiple agencies converged on the scene. The San Joaquin County Sheriff's Office took the lead, joined by the FBI, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, the California Highway Patrol, and the Stockton Police Department. Sheriff spokesperson Heather Brent stated that investigators believe this was a targeted incident, though officials have not elaborated on who might have been targeted. "We're confident that this was not a random act," Sheriff Withrow said Sunday. "They walked into this area and were probably looking for somebody in particular." Around 10:20 p.m. Saturday, police made arrests approximately 7 miles from the shooting scene on Pixie Drive. 5 individuals were taken into custody: 27-year-old Isaac Grosvenor, 32-year-old Destiny Willis, 22-year-old Kevin Lay, 19-year-old Jovan Frank, and a 16-year-old juvenile whose name was not released. The charges were significant: conspiracy, weapons violations, and gang-related offenses. However, there is no indication that these arrests are connected to the mass shooting at the banquet hall. As of Monday afternoon, no one has been charged specifically with the birthday party shooting. Authorities are aggressively seeking the public's help. The reward for information leading to an arrest has now reached $75,000. The FBI is offering $50,000, separate from the earlier rewards totaling $25,000 from Crime Stoppers, $10,000, the mayor's office, $10,000, Councilwoman Mariela Ponce's office, $5,000, and the Youth Peace and Justice Foundation, $5,000. Investigators are actively working on suspect descriptions based on tips, video, and witness accounts provided so far. According to unconfirmed reports from community sources and individuals with law enforcement connections, this may not have been a random attack. The shooters, these sources suggested, had specific targets: 2 Stockton-based rappers, MBnel and Flyboy Doughy. Online speculation has tied attendees to Flyboy Crips and Muddy Boys networks. It's crucial to note that despite these claims spreading rapidly on social media, officials have not confirmed any connection between the shooting and these music artists. The San Joaquin County Sheriff's Office has not publicly identified MBnel or Flyboy Doughy as targets or even attendees of the party. But the allegations raise disturbing questions about gang violence, hip-hop culture, and the ongoing feuds that have plagued Stockton for years. Feuds that, if these reports are accurate, may have just claimed the lives of 3 innocent children. Born Jonel Dongan, the 28-year-old Filipino-American rapper MBnel has become one of Stockton's most recognizable hip-hop voices. His stage name references the Muddy Boys crew and Matty Harrell Park in his neighborhood. In 2019, his song Born to Win was selected by the San Francisco 49ers for a team hype video, bringing his music to a wider audience. But that authenticity came from lived experience. MBnel has been candid about gang connections through older cousins who were Crips members. In October 2020, he was arrested as part of Operation Kryptonite, which targeted multiple criminal street gangs, including the Asian Boys, Muddy Boys Crips, Lil Ruthless Criminals Comstock Crips, Locktown Crips, and Asian Crip gangs. 34 people were arrested. MBnel faced charges of false compartment activity and possession of a controlled substance. Most relevant to the current investigation, sources indicate MBnel survived a prior assassination attempt in September 2020. The question investigators are asking is whether Saturday's shooting represented another attempt on his life, one that went tragically, horrifically wrong. The Stockton Police Department has documented 70 different gangs operating within city limits. In 2024, Stockton saw 3,680 violent crimes, a rate more than double the statewide rate. The current conflict centers on EBK, Everybody Killa, engaged in ongoing violent feud with the Flyboys and Muddy Boys. According to gang experts, the Flyboys and Muddy Boys are the biggest targets for EBK members. This is a blood feud that has claimed multiple lives. Rapper J Black, associated with the Flyboys, was allegedly killed by EBK members following disrespectful comments, sparking further retaliation. If MBnel, connected to Muddy Boys, and Flyboy Doughy were indeed targets, this represents an escalation that crossed a line by targeting them at a child's birthday party. Gang-related shootings are notoriously difficult to prosecute. With up to 150 people at the party, investigators should have plenty of witnesses. But in communities where gang violence is prevalent, cooperation is complicated by fear. Witnesses worry about retaliation against themselves and their families. The code of silence isn't just about loyalty, it's often about survival. While firearms were recovered from the rooftop, establishing who fired them requires forensic analysis that takes time. Ballistics testing, DNA analysis, fingerprint examination are all crucial, but not instantaneous. If this shooting was motivated by the EBK versus Flyboys and Muddy Boys conflict, investigators must understand an entire network of individuals, their roles, communications, and planning. The involvement of federal agencies signals authorities are bringing significant resources. Federal prosecutors offer advantages, including federal charges with stiffer sentences and witness protection programs for those willing to testify. Patrice Williams, the mother who hosted the party, spoke through tears on Monday. "I don't know what happened. I'm just so shocked and lost," she said. "I just want to say I'm sorry to all the mothers out there that lost their kids at my birthday party." Williams works at a youth center and is a mother of 3. "I see youth all day. I see kids all day. So for me to see kids on the floor and just bleeding and I can't help them, it was hurting me." Her message to other parents was sobering. Try not to be in public all the time with your kids, cause anything can happen, and a bullet doesn't have a name.
Yes, I work for the AA Whole Life Center. I work with the youth. And this is why it's really hurting me, because I see youth all day. I see kids all day. I'm a mother of 3. So for me to see kids on the floor and just bleeding and I can't help them, and I help people that I help the youth at my job, it was hurting me not to help them on the floor. Try not to be in public all the time with your kids, because anything can happen and bullet does not have a name. I believe that if you guys ever have a birthday party, just have a birthday party indoors
Roscoe Brown, who works for Stockton's Office of Violence Prevention, said the party was in honor of his brother's granddaughter. He was in Arizona when he learned about the shooting and drove straight to the scene. His niece and nephew were shot. Who would come and do that to some kids, you know? Brown said at a Sunday vigil. You can't shoot up a party. That's senseless. A kid's party at that. Mayor Fugazi issued a stark warning to anyone helping the shooters hide. Let me be very clear to anyone who hides, shields, or harbors these terrorists. You are putting yourself at risk of having your door kicked in, your home raided, and being arrested for aiding and abetting. If you protect them, you become part of this. The mayor is calling for creation of a permanent task force, including the Justice Department, FBI, and ATF, with two goals: capture and prosecute those responsible, and identify how young people are getting automatic weapons. Yes, we appreciate your thoughts and prayers. And yes, long-term policy reforms are better, but we are not living in the long term, Fugazi stated. Stockton needs help now. Community activists are calling for various approaches: intervention programs to pull young people from gang life, more aggressive law enforcement, economic investment, better schools, and addressing root causes. The hip-hop community grapples with difficult questions about authenticity versus active gang involvement. As the investigation continues, the shooters remain at large. Eventually, there will be arrests and trials. Eventually, we will know who pulled the triggers. But justice for a community that has endured too much violence requires more than arrests. It requires addressing conditions that create gang violence, investing in neglected communities, providing alternatives for young people, and courage from those within street culture to reject violence and break retaliation cycles. The 4 victims were real people with real dreams and futures. Amari Peterson, who played basketball and football and was making college plans. Susano Archuleta, a good kid celebrating with a friend. An 8-year-old third grader who should be writing Christmas lists. A 9-year-old who should have had years ahead. They deserve better. The 11 wounded deserve better. The children who survived but will carry trauma deserve better. Until we commit to necessary changes, more families will receive devastating news. More communities will mourn. More children will die at birthday parties that should have been safe. To the families of the victims, our hearts are with you. To the community of Stockton, your grief and anger are justified, and your demands for change are heard. For everyone watching, this didn't have to happen. And with the right choices, investments, and commitment, the next one doesn't have to happen either. This is Crime Bitz. Thank you for watching.